Hello, everybody. Welcome to Little Rusty Buckets. I'm going to be talking about politics today, so if you don't want to watch that, watch another video. I wanted to talk about Zoran Mamdani officially being the mayor of New York, or at least the mayoral elect, because I know there's like the cool down period before he actually gets in office. But I felt a level of optimism the other night that I have not felt in a very, very long time. And I talked about this last time that I talked about Zoran, or actually technically the second to last time, because we talked about that crazy AI ad that Andrew Cuomo put out on the guy. But the reason that I have been so thrilled with Zoran's success is that he has been a direct example of something that I have personally believed about American politics for a very long time, which is that socialism, if communicated properly, is extremely palatable to Americans, and obviously, especially if you're in a city like New York, more generally left-leaning Americans. A big issue that I have had with the Democratic Party at large is they have chosen to move more and more towards the right end of the political spectrum. Right as in right wing, not right as in the right thing to do. Like, a big part of the reason that I think Kamala Harris's campaign failed is, first of all, she was still staunchly in support of Israel. And then second, not only that, she responded very poorly to any kind of criticism or protest about that, but also they went right wing on the border because they just capitulated to the idea that that was a failing of theirs. And then she was like, oh, I'll do the border better than Donald Trump will. That type of shit has really, really bothered me about the Democrats. Another thing has been the constant, running on not being someone else. What Zoran did in this election is he said, this is who I am, this is what I believe in, this is what I will try and achieve for you. Obviously he's still highlighting that Andrew Cuomo is a fucking disgusting, vile, sex pest piece of shit establishment hack. But secondary to that, his main focus has always been affordability, affordability, affordability. Every time he gets hit with a question about some shit that's unrelated to that, he always brings it back to the affordability crisis. And another thing is that, a big criticism against Zoran was like, oh, what if the rich people leave? I believe that is, for lack of a better term, bitch made. You should not be, as a working class person, living in fear of a rich person not being around anymore. Like, Zoran put the working class at the center of his campaign, did not waver on that, communicated it properly, and then was a force of positivity. A lot of what Kamala's approach was to this last election was, we're going to do all this positivity and this hope shit, but it's without any level of substance. The actual policy is not there, and she's not standing 10 toes down and saying, I believe in this thing so much more, other than yeah, Donald Trump sucks. And sorry if you're a Republican, but I'm also fucking not. Donald Trump sucks. He is awful, awful, awful piece of shit, one of the worst politicians in American history. But at the same time, the future of politics should not be just not Donald Trump. The future of politics in America should not be centrism, should not be the status quo. When Joe Biden was elected, he said that nothing would fundamentally change under his administration. If you are a working class individual in this country, I would hope that you recognize that there needs to be some pretty fucking fundamental change. There's a lot of propaganda from billionaires that makes people think that their worst conditions are at all acceptable, but they're not. And guess what? The working class people are almost everybody. And traditionally speaking, 9 times out of 10, us versus them mentality is not a good thing. It is something that is weaponized to tear people apart. However, it is specifically used to weaponize the weaponize against the working class. To say, oh, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, it must be the fault of these immigrants or DEI or trans people. The reality is, if you are in a lower class in this country, if you are poor, if you are middle class, if there's even some fucking semblance of that anymore, then you are in this together with those people, and that should be your mentality, and Zoran very, very much emphasized that. But what I believed forever was that you just get a guy like this in front of people with a good campaign, and the ideas will win. The passion will win. And even if Zoran cannot complete every single thing that he has promised he's going to try to complete, at the bare minimum, I would rather have a politician who tries to do something different from this established system than one that says nothing will fundamentally change. Like, is there more risk? Maybe in trying these socialist policies? Sure. But there's also far more reward and far more radical change in a positive direction that could come of it. I'm sorry, but I'm also not. Again, fuck the mega rich. Fuck the billionaires. Fuck the oligarchs. They paid so much money to ensure that this guy did not win, but the grassroots movement, the working class, and the actual people who actually have to live in this fucking country for real did this. And that is deeply inspiring, and it is replicable. There are other candidates who can do exactly this. And I pray that after a couple of years, assuming that Zoran is fairly successful in his first couple of years, when the Democrats choose whoever they are going to choose to run in 2028, it will be with someone who at the very least resembles the idea of a leftist. Someone who at the very least presents a bigger picture than just not being Donald Trump. Because as much as the current Trump administration fucking sucks, as much as dealing with this bullshit and like literally SNAP benefits being cut, and then he's doing a goddamn roaring 20s Great Gatsby party. Like, fuck that guy. I cannot emphasize it enough. Politics should be bigger than not being him. And we should strive for things better for the working class, for the working poor in this country. We should reach for the stars, as opposed to this mentality of like, we will do the slightest incremental change at every possible corner so that the establishment can still be the establishment. You saw how much money the establishment put into Andrew Cuomo's campaign, how much money they spent on a bunch of fucking racist dog whistles that by the end of it weren't even dog whistles. It was just straight. That was a human whistle. I could hear that fucking whistle. All of this vicious attack, all of this money that could not beat good ideas from a good communicator with actual some semblance of integrity and a real belief in what he is doing. I'm very tired of these hollow politicians who stand for nothing, believe in nothing other than getting elected. And I think, again, this is replicable. There are more people out there who can do exactly this in multiple cities across the country. And New York has a very big beacon on them right now to say, hey, this is how these policies can work. This is how this can enrich the lives of the poorest people in this country, of the poorest people in New York. A quarter of people in New York are in poverty. That's unacceptable for the richest city in the country as far as I'm concerned. And the thing is, like, even if he manages to bullshit his way into a third term, Donald Trump is old as fuck. And knock on wood, assuming that I get to live for another 30 years, he won't be the president forever. And his ideas will not be that popular. They're not even that popular right now. And I also strongly believe that the Republican Party, in a way, kind of fucked itself by committing to Donald Trump so much, because I don't think anyone else can step into that man's shoes successfully. I don't think his cult of personality is something that you can just transfer to J.D. Vance. So whenever this era is over, I really, really just hope, I really, really hope the Democrats can look at someone like Zoran and say, this is the future for us. Not only Is it the good and right thing to do? But it is proven by this campaign that it is also the winning thing to do. The reason the Democrats have lost and have been so deeply unpopular is they clearly do not actually stand for anything. Zoran stood for something, and it was met with incredible support. One of the most insane political campaigns I have ever seen in my entire fucking life. And I say this again, I say this anytime I talk about a politician favorably. Zoran Mamdani is a public servant. He has a job to do, and if he does not do that job successfully, I will happily call that out. But again, standing for something, believing in something, trying to actually paint a picture of a better America for the people who actually live in this country, rather than those who live in the penthouses staring down at the rest of us. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I believe that socialist policy that I have always believed is good for the average person and good for America as a whole, because the average person should be the priority of the government. Seeing it actually go into play, seeing someone succeed with those ideas, it's so great. And I was so fucking nervous on election night, because if there's anything, the moment where Democrats become the most competent when it comes to quote unquote winning is when it's time to put a centrist in place of an actual left-leaning person. So when the polls came out and they were saying that Cuomo actually had a better chance than originally thought, I was like, man, if the Dems pull a fucking rabbit out of their hat to elect this fucking sex pest at the very least, like, that might be it, because I watched them do it in 2016. I watched them do it in 2020 to Bernie Sanders at every turn. Like, we can't have radical change to this broken system. How dare you? The Democrats largely have represented the same interests the Republicans do. They just wrap a rainbow flag around it. And yeah, unfettered capitalism that is not anti-gay is better than unfettered capitalism that is anti-gay. But what if we did something that wasn't unfettered capitalism? Hot take. It's clearly not working. The wealth gap keeps getting bigger. And if you're going to hit me with some pull yourself up by the bootstrap shit, you are not living in reality. But yeah, I think I've said my piece. Thank you so much for watching. And for those of you who care about what I have to say on these matters, I appreciate that a lot. It's also very funny when there's a comment section full of people saying like, yeah, good job, thank you for talking about this. And then there's like 3 comments that are like, nobody cares what you think of politics, bro. Clearly some people do, enough that I'm gonna keep fucking doing it because it seems like the right thing to do. And frankly, it is cathartic. It is nice to feel like I'm not a crazy person in Crazyville all the time. But yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.